Hello, welcome to CEO Insights, the Living Organization program with Vitaly Gimin. That's me. With me, Umberto Lago. First of all, Umberto, welcome.
Hi, Vitaly. Thank you very much for the invitation.
It's a pleasure, real pleasure. Umberto is a professor in university. He is also a management consultant. He spent a lifetime in many organizations, and he's a very diversified person. So he covered many industries. Umberto, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history and particularly your association with Hire Corporation?
Yeah, well, my history, as you said, I'm a professor at university. I teach management. I've always been involved into management consulting. I've been involved as CEO myself of some companies, and I met Aya for the first time, I think, in 2010. In a serendipitous way, but since I learned about their business model, that was very. I was in love with it. I like it very much. I wanted to know more, and then I started to go regularly to Qingdao until in 2013 I wrote my first book, which was named titled Reinventing Giants with Bill Fisher and Fang Liu. That was about the business model, the hire business model in hire at that time. And a couple of years ago, I started to go quite frequently in Qingdao again, and I wrote another book, which is this book called Global Business Model Shift, which is about how to implement the business model, the hire business model outside China.
Mm-hmm.
And so I met many people, many managers in China and outside China. I had several conversations with Jiang Ruimin, and I think it's still a very interesting business model and one that Western company should know better.
Wonderful. Umberto, there are people who've never heard of Hire Corporation or Rendon Huimura. Maybe in like a 1 minute, summarize for them what's unique about this model.
Well, first of all, Hire Corporation is the number one home appliances producer in the world. So they bought General Electric appliances in the US. They bought many other companies around the world, and they are becoming bigger and bigger. And one of the explanation is thanks to their business model. Their business model is, it's now very complex, but it's based on very common sense principles, which are zero distance to your customer. So, they are always focused on their customer and empower your employees. And why empower your employees? Because your employees should become entrepreneur and they have better idea of what customer wants because they are in contact with them, and therefore they can add value to the customer by being closer to the customer. You can increase the value that you create, and you share part of this value with your employees, so you incentivize them to do even better. So the idea is the meaning of Rendon is exactly this: the customer, the employee, and the share value that the interaction between employee and customer can create.
That makes sense. And so it's not, in some respect, it's not a new concept. Listen, almost every Western company wants to get closer to a customer, and they complain that they can't, but they want to. And every Western company wants to empower their employees, but they can't. So
It's not that they can't, in my view. They don't want. I mean,
they don't want to.
the concept is, in fact, I mean, Jiang Ruimin based his business model on the readings of Peter Drucker.
Drucker.
In 1950, so almost 70 years ago, it was writing about these concepts, but nobody in the West, we have so many books, so many management books in the West that we say, okay, it's nice, maybe I will take something, and then you forget. And these guys, they were in China, in a post-communist China. They didn't have books. He had his book, from Hong Kong, And the only book he could read was Peter Drucker book, and he basically did exactly what the book explained, and he did it in such a good way that it transformed the company according to these principles, which I believe should be the principles that should be the soul of any company. Because coming closer, as you said, coming closer to the customer, empowering your employees should be done by any company. The fact is that in the West we have such rigid hierarchies. We are used to, verticistic power that, it's very difficult for managers to let it go and to empower employees to become their own CEO, in the words of Jean Remy.
Okay. So what do we do? So my last question is, what do we do when you have this beautiful model, Hui and Chinese model, just like we had Six Sigma in Japanese, right? And we're going to take it. How do we adopt it in the Western context?
Well, the first thing that I always tell companies, if you try to adopt the structures and the let's say the concepts of the model without sharing the spirit, it's like implanting an organ in a body which is in an alien body. It won't succeed. First of all, you have to embrace the spirit, share the purpose, which is coming closer to your customer as close as you can and empowering your employees. If you start discussing these things within your company, you will create already a very enthusiastic, energetic climate in the company. Employees become more and more interested because they feel they can have more responsibility and more and they can profit from that. They can have more money. They can have a part of the value that they create, and you start basically driving the interest towards the customer, which is the ultimate provider of value for the company. And then you can start bit by bit. For example, if you have a new product, you can instead of launching a new product within the classic hierarchical organization, you can create special business units whereby employees are empowered to become to be entrepreneurs, and they have a big latitude of decisions on people to hire, on strategies, etc. And then if this works, you can spread it within the company bit by bit. And so you don't need to do it to change your organization from scratch and reinvent everything. That would be a mess. But you can gradually implementing, taking in the philosophy, which is the most important thing, the values, and then changing bit by bit your organization. I think you can succeed, and you will even only if you stop at the discussion level and you do just the new products, it's already something beneficial for the organization, I believe.
That makes total sense. It makes total sense. In a living organization, we believe that a living person is operated by principles first, by their values, by their vision, how they think around the world. If that's correct, if that's then the rest kind of comes out. You'll figure out how to do it. But if that's not there,
when I started writing this manual for implementing RNA, I came to this conclusion myself. Okay, so you cannot do that if you do not share the spirit, the values, the purpose. So you have to start from there, which is not trivial, because it may take some time to convince employees, to convince managers who have worked a life in a hierarchical organization to work in another way. But then when let's say when this idea come and make space in their mind, then it's mind-blowing, because you see that you can do a lot of different things.
Yes, it's like change the lens first, change how you view the world, and then the strategy and execution will follow from that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Umberto, so thank you so much. I love the work. I love your passion about this work because I think more of us need, it's time, right, for us to work in these new ways. And I love the fact that you actually not just talking about it, but develop a manual and the book. And where can they get the book? Just where can they find your book?
Well, it's Amazon. It's a Springer book, so it's published by Springer, and I think you can. There is an internet site for the book.
Yep,
You just write global business model shift. I think you're entering the internet site of the book in Springer or in Amazon. You can find
Amazon.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you so much. I am definitely going to have you back for future shows because we just scratched the surface here.
Okay. Thank you, Vitaly. It was a pleasure.
Good.
Okay. Bye.